So I'm kind of pissed off because I have to do this video again. My thing crashed and yeah, so I guess I'm going to try to get through this again. Might as well. I have everything already sitting here. We're going to be talking about Michael Haneke's filmography. I'm going to be ranking it. If you don't know who Michael Haneke is, he's an Austrian film director. He's done films in German, French, English. All around, just a very inspiring director. I mean, he didn't make his first film until he was in his late 40s. And before then, he was doing TV movies. And I don't think he actually got the recognition that he deserved until Funny Games, maybe even a little bit later on. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not really sure how he was perceived back in his earlier days. But all I know, I finished his filmography and I'm ready to talk about it. I'm also going to be doing the top 30 Alfred Hitchcock movies with my wife tonight. That video might take a week to get out. I'm doing something really cool with it. You guys will see. But yeah, so let's not waste any time. Let me just set his films right here. He's got 12 movies, 12 feature-length movies, because I'm not counting his TV movies. And let's go ahead and get started. So this is just my opinion. You know, we might differ here, but it'll be okay. I'm also just going to touch on them just a little bit. In the one that I was doing before, I did kind of ramble at times, so I'm going to try to keep this short, sweet, and clean. Coming in at number 12, we have Benny's Video. Now, I know most of the time when I do like a ranking, I'll be like, oh, well, there's got to be a least favorite, you know, but I actually just did not care for this film. I didn't really care too much for the story, even though knowing the story going in, I was actually pretty excited, you know, because it sounded like something that'd be right up my alley. I don't know, it was kind of boring. The story was sort of bland. It wasn't paced that well, especially sort of the ending half, sort of the last half. I don't know, it was hard for me to keep up with. Wasn't the biggest fan. I know this is actually pretty high up on some people's lists, but for me, I had a hard time with it. But it also has the dude from Funny Games in it, just a little bit younger. Coming in at number 11 is 71 Fragments. This one, I mean, it was good. There's a lot of nothing going on. I don't want to say nothing, but there is a lot of nothing going on. You know, you are watching these characters in their day-to-day lives. I would argue that Code Unknown does it a lot better. Actually, I feel like if you were to take the ending of this film and put it with and exchange it with Code Unknown and sort of, you know, just had the first, you know, like what, hour and 30 minutes of Code Unknown and then have an ending like this, I feel like Code Unknown would be a lot higher up on my list. But they're very similar. I did like the ending of this, though. The ending of this was pretty impactful. I definitely knew what Michael Haneke was going for once I saw that ending. And sometimes that's all it takes. But this is another one of his earlier films, this and Benny's Video. You know, it was good for what it was. It was good for what it was. And speaking of Code Unknown, coming in at number 10 is Code Unknown. Now, I actually really, really enjoyed the beginning of this film going into, you know, a little bit later on. The film is almost 2 hours. I feel like it could have been trimmed down just a little bit, but like I said, if this film would have had the type of ending that 71 Fragments had, probably would have been a lot more impactful, and it probably would have been really high on my list, because this is a different type of film. These films are sort of filmed in segments. You know, you sort of see these characters do their own thing, and then it cuts to black, and then, you know, it cuts to another set of characters or character. And, you know, overall, it's just really different. And I like that. And I like films like this. And Michael Haneke's really good at it. But, you know, it's just, his other films are better. We'll just leave it at that. Coming in at number 9 is actually his directorial debut. And it's actually a pretty good directorial debut. And that's The Seventh Continent. Now, I would say that Code Unknown is a better film up until its end. That's one thing about Michael Haneke. He really does stand out with his endings. I won't spoil anything, but this film has a wild ending, and sort of seeing what this family is going, not even necessarily going through, because, I mean, I guess, yeah, they're going through it, but I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything. It's very sinister. There's something that happens. The ending is absolutely bonkers. I mean, it's insane. It's a very blunt sort of, here you go, you got to watch this shit ending, and it's, I mean, they do it. They go for it. Michael Haneke goes for it. A lot of controversial stuff in this film, and that's part of the reason why it's so high up. Well, not so high up, but, you know, better than, you know, the other ones down, you know, further down. But yeah, I like The Seventh Continent. For a directorial debut, it was pretty decent. It was pretty decent. Coming in at number 8, we actually have his latest film, which is Happy End. Now, I enjoyed Happy End. This is a culmination of all of his films, basically put together. Hopefully he makes another film. One thing a lot of people don't like is when a director is sort of self-indulgent. I think it's awesome when directors are self-indulgent, especially when you have a filmography already established, and then you're sort of like, oh, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm good at. This is what I like doing. I'm going to do it. And that's exactly what he does. This film is comedic in all the wrong ways. Yeah, it's just it's not funny. I mean, I found the film funny, but it could be a little bit triggering for some people. But overall, it's a pretty bizarre film. It probably is the most artsy of Michael Haneke films. Like, you should see the trailer for this film. It feels like an art house film. And I don't know. I like Happy End. I think it's cool. I want to see another film from him. Coming in at number 7, we have 2007's Funny Game. Now, I'm actually not going to talk about this one a lot because I did do my video on the 2 Funny Games and sort of comparing them, and plus I'm about to talk about Funny Games further on down the list. But this is the 2007 remake of his own film. He done an Americanized version. Yeah, it's basically the same film. I just could not get into this film because they censored one part that's not censored in the original one. And yes, it is a pretty big part of the film. I mean, it is pretty. I mean, it's pretty shocking. And me, without spoiling anything, because I don't want to spoil anything, but I don't get triggered. I don't get, upset when I watch anything. I really don't at all. That's just kind of just who I am. And this film, I mean, it did bother me when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, but it wasn't like, oh, why did you put that in there? It was more so just like, holy, you fucking did that. You actually fucking did that. It's just something you'll have to, I'll talk about it a little bit more with Funny Games. But coming in at number 6, we have The White Ribbon. Now, this one could actually go up higher on my list. Probably with a rewatch. Love the characters in this. Love the sort of situation and the location and watching them all just interact with each other. The whole sort of message where, hey, a lot of the people that are in this film are going to grow up to be Nazis because this is set during or right before World War I. Really, really good, well-made film. Very well-made film. Really well deserving of the Palme d'Or. And Michael Haneke, at his best, I think, directing-wise. I think he done a really, there are some things about this film that, I kind of nitpick, especially the pacing. That's a big thing with Michael Haneke films, is pacing a little bit, but it's only in just a handful of films. But I think, honestly, just his overall direction for this film, you could tell he sort of knew what he was doing, and I understood what he was going for. I sort of really did like the sort of believability of the film. And speaking of believability, there is another film that I'm going to talk about that, has a really good sort of realistic story. And but we'll get to that in a second. Coming in at number 5, we have Caché. Now, this is actually at the top of most people's list. I enjoy this film. Oddly enough, I think White Ribbon is the better film, but just the way that this film holds itself, the pacing, sort of the character situation, what they're going through, how they interact with this situation, the fact the situation is already going on when the movie starts, and some of the cool stuff that they do with the camera and the video, I like it. And of course, there's also that scene where if you know, you know. So yeah, Caché really does stand out. This really is it's a piece of work. It's a good piece of work, and it feels like it has purpose. Like, it feels like Michael Haneke again knew what he was doing, what he was going for, and I like that. I think Caché really did take care of that very well. Coming in at number 4, I have 2 copies of this. One came with my the one that it had like 3 of his earlier films. It had The Seventh Continent, Benny's Video, and 71 Fragments, and then it also came with another copy of Funny Games. But I also have the Criterion version, so I'm holding up 2 Funny Games, yay! I love this movie. This movie shocked me. It does not stop. It's brutal. It's just gruesome. I mean, there's that one scene, like I said, that just will. Whew, this film is awesome, and what they do with it later, like just later on in the movie, there's something that happens that just completely blew my mind. I thought it was so cool, so cool. This is definitely Michael Haneke at his darkest, but man, I love it. I thought it was really good. Coming in at number 3, we have Amour. Now, this was one that I was actually really excited to watch because this is another one that is really high up on people's list. A lot of the times, I think number 1. It's number 3 for me, but it's about an old couple. And one of them gets sick, and you're basically watching them deal with it. There's a lot of heartbreaking scenes in this. There's a lot of heartbreaking stuff that happens in this film, but ultimately the film is beautiful. I mean, it really is. Even though a lot of these sort of sad, heartbreaking things happen, it's still beautiful because ultimately this film is, trying to display love. It's trying to tell you about love, and I thought it exceeded in that. I thought it done just such a great job. I love the character interactions in this. Like I said, it's heartbreaking, but it's beautiful at the same time. And I think this is actually Michael Haneke's best known work, I'm pretty sure. I know he won an Oscar for this for the best foreign film. Well deserved, but I really did enjoy it more. Now, these next 2 films, it was kind of hard for me at first, but then I sort of, I started thinking more about it, and I was like, okay, I know what order to put these in. So coming in at number 2, this actually comes kind of low on some people's list, but that's Time of the Wolf. Dystopian film, post-apocalyptic film, however you see it. Very believable. Back to what I was saying about believability, this is a very believable situation. It's also Michael Haneke filming in wide. I love it. There is one thing about this film that bothers me, and this was something that I didn't mention earlier. Michael Haneke sort of has this thing where he likes to kill animals in his films. I don't agree with that. I mean, I guess I understand if they're going to be in a slaughterhouse and they're going to be killed anyway, sure. If it matters that much to your story, I don't know. I don't want to say I agree or disagree with that because I say just do it off screen. But it is pretty impactful. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. It's pretty impactful. This film, I could see it being controversial. It actually, never mind. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, this is, I thought this film was phenomenal. I thought it was paced well. It's one of Michael Haneke's best paced films. It really did fit that sort of dystopian post-apocalyptic vibe. It was done so well. The film is beautiful. Sort of reminded me a little bit of The Road, Cormac McCarthy. I'm not sure exactly who the director was that did The Road, but yeah, it really did remind me of The Road, and I enjoyed this film a lot. And coming in at number 1, we have The Piano Teacher. This was my introduction to Michael Haneke. What an introduction. This film just kept me thinking. It just, I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know what was going to come next. Some of the stuff that's said in this, you're like, oh, wow, they actually said that? Like, they actually said, like, what are they doing? And some of the stuff that happens, awesome film. I love this film. This is, I think, Michael Haneke's masterpiece. I think this is his best film. If I had to suggest 5 films for Michael Haneke, sort of 5 essential films, I would probably have to do Piano Teacher, Time of the Wolf, Amour, Funny Games, and Cachet or White Ribbon. So probably 6. If you wanted to just watch half of his filmography, I think that'd do you. I think you'd get the point. But I did have a lot of fun watching all of his movies. Like I said, I think Michael Haneke is one of the best directors still working today, and his filmography is just definitely worth the watch. But anyway, guys, it was a pleasure doing this video. I had a lot of fun. Let me know what you think of Michael Haneke down in the comments below. Sort of let me know your ranking as well. I'm also going to be doing my top 30 Alfred Hitchcock films with my wife. That should go up here in about a week. So yeah, hopefully I can get back to doing 2 videos a week, but for right now it'll be 1. I know that video is going to be a little bit. You'll see what I'm talking about. Hopefully it lives up to expectations because I'm doing something a little cool with it. Also, can't wait to tell you guys more about the film that I shot last summer. We're right now in the we're trimming it up. It's looking good, but I won't say any more about that. But yeah, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. Hope you're staying safe out there, and I'll see you guys next time.